welcome to a very exclusive episode of Royalty with me and Derrick and our special guest, Mr. Derrick Levasseur, aka winner of Big Brother season 16 on a was it a unanimous vote?
No, actually it wasn't. 7-2. Donnie and Jocasta.
They don't count. And and it took him a little while to reintroduce himself back to reality TV, but he is starring on The Traitors season 3 and recently banished.
Murdered.
Oh, you were murdered. You were murdered. Yeah, recently.
That's better than being banished.
Yeah, he went out like a G. He went out like, you got to murder me to get me out this thing. I'm not getting banished at no table.
Messing up the introduction. But this is, okay, I just really do have to say, Derrick has always been my favorite winner of Big Brother. I went into the game of Big Brother trying to channel my Derrick Levasseur energy. Didn't work, but I couldn't wait to have the opportunity to meet him. Derrick is the reason why I even have a podcast, how I got into podcasting. He's the reason why my camera, my lighting, and my Wi-Fi are so amazing.
I'm proud of you. It looks good.
He taught me a lot. He taught me to be myself and to say what I mean and mean what I say and to not to be afraid to do it. And he also showed me and taught me that I would lose people for being myself, but I would gain the people who really were supportive of me. And that is exactly what happened. And I tried to bring those lessons over to the Heavy Crown Network and share them with Derrick. And I think we have been successful. And I just want to say it is such a privilege and such an honor to call you my friend, my mentor. I love you. I look up to you.
You too.
I respect you. You're amazing. And thank you for joining us. And I really appreciate you taking the time to do this because I do know personally that you are not doing all of these podcasts.
Damn. What an intro, right? That's a good one. I love you too.
I don't even know what to say. Like, I'm kind of jealous. She has never talked about me that way. Like, and I'm over here just imagine you talking about this Derrick, okay? The way you were talking. I was like, damn, like, she never talked to me like that. It's usually, Derrick, I ain't got time for this. I'll talk to you later. Damn. Oh, no, and listen, Derrick, we're glad to have you here. So please, go ahead. Just jump right on in.
No, honestly, thank you, Tiffany. I love you too. I love you too, Derrick. And I know you're not going to believe me. It's going to sound like a plug, but obviously you go on these shows, you start to look around on YouTube, and I always watched your recaps every week. And I would call Tiffany after or whatever, but I text her a couple times, but she told me, I don't want to know anything, Derrick. Do not tell me, because I'm not going to lie to you guys. I would have told her. But she didn't want to know. She was like, nope, I want to know. I want to go through the process and see where this goes. So I'm very proud of you guys, where you're going with it. It's a great show. You guys are honest with each other and with your audience, which, like I said to you, Tiffany, you want to create a community that supports you for who you are and not what you're saying just to pander to certain people. And what you'll find is that the group may be smaller, but it'll be more involved. It'll be more immersed in what you're actually doing, which makes for a much better experience for you and for your audience. So happy for you guys. You guys are doing a great job.
Thank you. Shout out to the Royal Court because they are loyal and they are in here. So they're going to be excited about this. I am. They will be too. They will be too.
All right. We'll see. We'll see.
Well, Derrick,
be nice to my friend. Being nice to my friends is respecting me, but just respect. Just respect.
Yeah.
And
it wouldn't be the first time people were mean to me. We'd be all right.
I mean, you could be honest, but be respectful.
Now, Derrick, of course, as Tiffany said, you are the strategist, of course, and that runs with us, Derrick.
Yes.
It just runs in our blood, in our name. Okay.
Is there another Derrick?
So listen, I was a strategist in a different way. Okay, but
no, you got the Derrick with 2 R's. Are the
Yeah.
The 1 R's is like missing the
look
S
at
in dessert. It's
look at Derrick Levasseur. Look at DX. Derrick F. I mean, come on now.
You missing an R, which means you missing something. But it's okay.
I know, Alan. I was expecting something different. Derrick with 2 R's. They must have ran out of stuff in the writing room. That was the best thing. I was like, I'm okay with it. I was nervous for it. So
I know you're like, no, I have to be the only Derrick with 2 R's. Got it. Trust me. How you think I felt when damn DX walked in the building? I was like, what's your name? How you spell it? I was like, damn, I knew I saw. I thought they were joking because you know when you're in the little the room where you're getting changed, I got a chance to look at everybody's like initials. So when I saw like DX, I was like, what? What does that stand for? Of course,
you knew it was Derrick.
And it's odd they put you guys on the same season. Usually they won't do that on purpose.
Boy, they'd have had another Tiffany in there. She'd have had to go.
Yeah.
I'm not changing my name.
That was my vendetta. That's why I was like, Derrick has to go because everyone keeps getting confused. I need to be the only Derrick. All right. Now, speaking of strategists,
yes,
Derrick Levasseur, you played on Traitors season 3. Now, of course, I know you hear this question 1,000 times. Be honest. What was your strategy going into this game?
So there are some people who knew I was going. Maybe somebody, a couple people knew I was going, and they can vouch for my plans going in there. Essentially, the show is so predicated on who they select as traitors. That'll dictate the entire show. If you have traitors who value certain things or who are in fear of certain types of players, that's going to tell you how the season is going to go. So the only thing you can do as a faithful when you go in there is play whatever strategy you intended on playing when you went in there, because you don't know who your target is. Like in Big Brother, you know your audience and you can adapt your game to fit that audience. With Traitors, you don't know who you're entertaining or who you're playing to because you don't know who the traitors are. So the people who will do the best in Traitors are the ones who just happen to implement a strategy that aligns with who they selected as traitors. Mm-hmm. And like I said, unfortunately, you don't know who that is. So for me, it was like, okay, I've already won a show before. Obviously, we get paid before going on Traitors, unlike Big Brother. Oh, and I wanted to have fun with it.
Say that again. Pay your talent. Pay your talent.
I take that back. You can call me now.
Yeah, that's the truth. By the way, not to get sidetracked, they asked me who I wanted to see on the show. I said you, Tiffany. Sorry, Derrick. I didn't say you.
No, it's okay. No, it's fine. Listen. I appreciate it because you said Tiffany, so I appreciate that. Danielle said me, so as long as our people are calling out me and Tiffany, as long as one of us goes, or it's great, or 2 of us, even better.
I love that.
Listen to this man; he knows what he's talking about.
So yeah, I wanted to go in there. When you go on Big Brother, especially when you're broke, the goal is to get to the end and then make an argument and hope you can pull off the W. I wasn't trying to be entertaining. I wasn't trying to make good TV. I just wanted to win. With Traitors, I wanted to have fun with it. I wanted to play aggressive. The number one goal was not to get booted first. I was concerned about that. That would have not been great for the brand. And then once I made it halfway, I was like, okay, I see what's going on. I've been seeing what's going on. I'm going to try and do something about it because I'm not going out of here being murdered and saying, oh, I knew who it was, but I just didn't have that chance to tell him. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go for it because I know who I am. I believe in my skill set. I feel confident in this, as confident as you can in a game like this. So I'm going to go for it. And that's essentially what I had wanted to do the whole time. I guess you would call it more aggressive. You know, even Brittany, while we were in there, was like, wow, you're playing different than you did on Big Brother. And I was like, yeah, I'm not here to just kind of float to the end. I'm ready to go. I'm going to treat this like an undercover operation. I'm trying to catch a killer. Let's do it.
I also think it's interesting that people say that, like, you're playing differently than you played on Big Brother. It is a different game. And I think people expect to come in. One of the things I kind of noticed about Big Brother players, for me, it seemed like Danielle, a couple of people were playing, even Wes, kind of playing the game that they were used to playing and bringing that gameplay into this game. But one of the things about playing a game is you have to be adaptable. And that means adapting to the game that you're playing. So I would expect you to play a different game. And then when we played Big Brother, no one knew who we were. So you could minimize your threat level because they don't know what you have in your pocket anyway. But once we've seen you play, people assume that that game player transcends over to this game player. So that leads me to my question of, were you aware of Boston Rob? Had you watched him? Were you aware of his strategy and gameplay before playing a game with him? I don't know if you were a Survivor watcher or watched Love Deal or No Deal Island with him.
Yeah, so I did watch Deal or No Deal Island. So I had just seen him on TV. I didn't watch all of Survivor seasons. I obviously knew of him. He's a legend, right? Like, I mean, he's probably one of the biggest faces in reality TV. He's been doing it for 20 years. So I knew of him. I had seen a little bit of him on, I believe it was Winners at War, because Jeremy is my favorite Survivor player of all time.
Okay, I've heard a
So
couple of people
getting
I
to
say
see
agree
that.
with
them go
that.
against each other, but like I was familiar with this game. I knew he was not someone to be messed around with. And when the cages kind of unveiled everybody, I looked to my left and I was like, man, I'm really in this. Like this is like we're not messing around. You see
Right.
Wes, who is also a legend,
Yeah.
and Rob and Boston Rob, and I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, I mean, this is my second show, and I'm like, oh, I'm in trouble. If this is the first two people I'm seeing, who else is in this
Right.
game this year? I was
Yeah.
I was a little intimidated. I'm not
So
gonna
you
lie.
didn't know who was going to be there.
No, I
That's
had no
crazy.
clue. Not one person in there that I know was going to be there.
Wow.
I had seen some rumors
Yeah.
and looked up some people. Like I was telling Nick Vile, like I thought he was on there, so I was looking up him a little bit. You hear the rumblings, you guys know. You hear
Yeah,
the
of course,
rumblings,
of
but like
course.
you don't know who's going to be there, so you can spend all your time researching everybody, but you just got to kind of get in there and go. But no, I had assumed I would see some people, but I didn't expect to see the people I did.
So what's interesting, you and Dylan seem to connect kind of right away. And I'm interested to know when you finally saw who all was there. In your mind, did you have an idea of people you wanted to work with, or did you observe them and choose who you wanted to work with based on what you were observing?
Yeah, so when I saw Brittany and Danielle, I knew I wanted to try to create a pocket with them, try to
Okay.
create a little alliance there because if it's even though Traitors is different, it's still about voting.
Yeah.
At least one part of the game is about voting. Like you can't control who gets murdered, but you can control who gets banished. So having those two there, familiar faces that had known me before, that was one little pocket. And then I know Jeremy. Jeremy's someone who lives 20 minutes from me.
Oh, that's cool.
I've known him
Oh, I
since he
love
won
that.
Survivor. We're not like best
Oh,
friends,
yeah.
but we're friends. We're definitely
Okay.
But you're
friends.
comfortable. Like we saw
We're
each other in the
comfortable
game.
with
You're
each other. I
like,
have his number. We talk. We
yeah.
interact on social media. I consider him a friend. Even
Okay.
he's family now, but before the show, even he was still a friend. Tony and I had talked once or twice before going out there because he had won the same year that I had won. It was
Okay.
two cops winning. That was kind of cool. But that was really it. Tom Sandoval, I had met one time. He didn't even remember it,
That's
but
so
I had met
random.
him
Like,
one
how
time.
did you meet Tom Sandoval?
How did you meet us?
I met him. I met him with
Sandoval.
Sheena. Sheena from Vanderpump is a huge Big Brother
Oh my
fan.
God, Hannah,
Oh, like, how did
Hannah,
you meet Sheena?
and Hannah loves Sheena. Her
Yeah, that's
and,
Hannah's
Hannah are
girl.
friends. Yeah.
So I met Tom through her, and then this is a throwback, but when I went on Nicole Franzel's engagement on the show, like they had, remember Victor
Yeah.
proposed to her in the house, and they had this weird thing where they had me and
Yeah.
Paul and Victor and Brittany.
Yeah.
They all had us come into the house when he proposed to her because like that's who Victor wanted there. And then we went out to dinner afterwards, and we went to Tom Tom, and Tom was there, and I was like, Tom, I met you before, and he's like, yeah, I don't remember you.
Yeah,
That was
whatever.
it. He didn't remember it. But to answer your question more directly, I didn't have a plan on who I wanted to work with. I wanted to. I had my little pocket, but I wanted to expand outside of that, which is why you mentioned Dylan. You know, I gave him the shield because I was trying to get people that no one had gotten yet, people who were like kind of out there in left field by themselves. Obviously, that didn't work out too good. But you know, initially I thought Dylan could be like my Cody. You know.
It was Derek and I, when we watched that, we thought it was very wise of you to choose him because we could see the game that he was playing. We could see that he was
Yeah,
picking
he's
up
smart.
on who the traitors were. And I was wondering, like, does Derek know? I also thought that you chose him because he seemed to be on the outs and maybe no one else had
That was
picked
it.
him up. But I
Yeah.
was like, does he also maybe think that this guy has some kind of intuition that he could benefit from? So you
Yeah, I
choosing
mean, we had
him,
talked a lot of
that was like
game. I
your
mean, they don't.
intuition.
They don't show it, but we had talked before that. That wasn't like the first conversation I had with him. Like I was like, "What are you here for?" You know, I didn't know he was Zac Efron's brother. I didn't even know that. It wasn't until like a day or two later.
we
We
still
didn't
don't
know
know
who he
who.
was.
We still don't know who. He
Me
is.
and
I-
Derek,
We still trying to figure it out.
we didn't know.
okay?
We don't know either.
I just knew he was a really good looking guy. I was like, oh, he's got to be on he's got to be from another show. I didn't even ask him what show
One
he was
thing
from.
Derek is gonna do is pair up with a good looking guy. He's like, Yeah, I want the good-looking guy because I know he'll be here for a while. Because the ladies don't like him.
That strategy works. That strategy works because
it really does.
The girls want to be near him, and the guys want to hang out with him. And he's just overall, Dylan's just a really good person, and
you could tell.
I knew that initially. I usually read people pretty well, and that turned out to be true. What I didn't realize is how much of a fan of Boston Rob he was, which was my blind spot. I didn't know that.
I'm gonna try to be nice.
Is playing it nicely.
Let me tell you something. I have been watching Dylan do these little extra interviews and stuff like that. He talked about he gonna kill Boston Rob. Let me tell you something. He's having one of those situations after you watch yourself on TV and you're like, oh, I gotta backtrack everything because I don't want people to think I'm up Boston Rob's ass. Baby, he is up Boston Rob's ass, and he should just accept
He was a fan. Even in the house.
He got misted.
Even in the house, he was constantly talking about how, at least it wasn't I was he was constantly Rob's a legend, he's done this, he's done that. And I would say to him, even when I got murdered, I was like, I'm going to get murdered. And he's like, no, listen, I don't think it's Rob. I'm like, dude, for 3 days, you've been telling me how great Rob is. This is exactly what he would do. And he's going to say tomorrow that he got framed. I'm like, come on, man. But listen, Dylan's a loyal guy. Yeah. And I think that when they got Bob the drag queen out, he felt like he couldn't have got that over the finish line without Rob. And so there was a loyalty there that he just wasn't willing to break. But people were like, oh, do you think he knew Rob was a traitor? I love Dylan. Dylan did not know. Dylan did not know.
Yeah, no, he did not know.
I believe you. I believe he did know.
He did not know. Anybody he thought was a traitor, he went after, which is why he went after Bob the drag queen, because he was playing a similar game to me where he was really trying to find traitors. So if he knew Rob was a traitor, Rob would have went home. Period. We would have got him out. But
now,
it is what it is.
You seem to develop this this alliance with Wes. You guys seem to connect. And I personally like seeing that. It's very A alike, B alike, so they see alike, I think he plays a different of a game because him under fire, he turned right to challenge West. He said, I'm coming to kill all of you. I'm blowing
throw them in elimination. I'll take them out in elimination.
He said,
that wasn't a great moment for us.
I said, wait a minute. But I want to go back to how that relationship really developed. You genuinely assessed him as not being a traitor, or did you just decide, I'm going to work with him whether he's a traitor or not? How did that connection come about?
Well, I had known Wes obviously for almost 20 years, watching him when I was in high school, not personally, but seeing him on TV.
Okay.
And there's one thing I think everyone knows about Wes: he's extremely intelligent, right? So I knew he was going to be someone, if he wasn't a traitor, I would want to work with. And basically, it was kind of process of elimination. I was weary about him and Rob. I was highly suspicious that one of them was a traitor. Mm-hmm. I didn't know which one. But when Bob, the drag queen, went home, I immediately knew it was Rob. Now, there's a lot more you guys didn't see, but it was blatantly obvious to me after that roundtable, Rob was the traitor.
Because he was so adamant that Bob was a traitor, right?
100% convinced. And also there's things you didn't see in that even if you saw it, you wouldn't feel it. But every time Bob the drag queen had an argument with someone, it was more just entertainment level. But when Rob called him out, you could tell Bob the drag queen was genuinely surprised and almost a little hurt.
Yeah, makes sense.
And you wouldn't see that unless you were there and you saw it in his eyes. Yeah. And I'm looking at this man and he's saying, I'm like, oh, he's hurt.
Yeah.
He's genuinely hurt right now.
It's like a backstab. And so why would you be backstabbed or betrayed?
That's deeper. Yeah. And then he got up there and Rob twisted the words, but he said, listen, I've never told a lie except that I don't believe in God. But Rob spun it like he's like, oh, I lied about everything. That's not what he said. He said Rob was a traitor, and when he had a chance to vote out anybody, Nikki, who had some votes going her way, he chose to still throw his random vote at Rob so that we would know. So at that point,
Thank you, Derrick. Thank you. This is intelligence.
Yeah, I knew it was Rob, and I was like, okay, well, then that means one thing. Wes is not a traitor. So that's one person I can check off my list. And if you see in the episode, I went all in with him because I was like, if I'm wrong, then I'm gonna look like an idiot anyways at the round table because Wes is gonna get up there and say he was a traitor. But I was fairly confident that Wes was a faithful because I knew Rob was a traitor, and so I went all in with him. And it's funny, Wes did an interview with Teresa Giudice the other day, and he was like, they're like, who did you like the most on the show? And he's like, I think it's Derrick from Big Brother. And Wes doesn't normally like Big Brother players.
No,
that is true.
So
but he likes me.
Derrick, I'm sorry. He was talking about me because he just called me the other day.
Okay, that's what it was.
It's okay.
That's what it was.
That's
all
my
right,
man.
my bad.
That's my man.
My bad. But no, he's a good guy. I like him. I understood his humor.
Yeah.
I like Wes. Clearly, some people didn't like his approach in there. Clearly, but
it's funny
yeah, I
that
liked
didn't
Wes. Good dude.
translate to the viewers. I couldn't tell that he wasn't. I think that he can come off as a little intimidating. But I played with Wes on Challenge USA Season 2, and I got crap from my alliances, my girls, that they could tell I was like working with Wes or listening or liking whatever he was saying. I definitely was working with Wes. I liked him. I understood him, and I wasn't offended. I'm not easily offended anyway, but he's intelligent. You will win the way to me if you are smart, because I need to work with somebody who can outthink me, like think better than me. And help me.
I think that also plays because you got people in the game that are not gamers. I've been saying this on the podcast, Derrick. Like, I feel like people are not picking up these little clues. Like, the one thing that you said, I would have been hounding Boston Rob down is when Bob the Drag Queen wrote his name after that whole argument and who they were targeting at first, I would have been like, no matter what, and I'm petty, no matter what, somebody who walked into this house, either you, Wes, or Boston Rob, is a traitor. It doesn't matter. So we can get out all three of those, and then we can play the rest of the game. Like, that's how my petty ass
I get it.
Play. You know?
I get it.
So I'm
You're
glad you
not wrong,
picked up on that.
But other gamers didn't. Other gamers didn't.
Which is wild. Can I ask you a question? You had a conversation with Brittany. How did that, turn out? Like, was it more to the conversation? Because, just her calling you, what you call you, a lying scumbag?
Dirty scumbag liar.
A dirty scumbag liar. Like, how did that
it's on my
pan
tombstone.
Out?
Oh, yeah, I mean, listen. On your tombstone?
Yeah, I put it on my Instagram. I put it on my Instagram. I put dirty scumbag liar on.
So now dirty scumbag liar, then we got misguided, for Dylan.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the game Traitors creates a level of paranoia where you can start to see things in a certain light because you're thinking everyone could be the bad guy. Me and Brittany were good in the house until we weren't. Like, I had helped her get her head up the hill during that competition. We had an emotional moment together in the kitchen where we had said we were going to work with each other. We were both thinking Danielle was a traitor, especially after the riddle competition. Okay. But then episode 6 comes. And up till that point, which you're even seeing with the newer episodes, there was a lot of conversation about Brittany in the castle because she wasn't talking a lot. She wasn't saying a lot at the round tables. And to her defense, that was her strategy. But earlier that day in episode 6, as you saw, Wes got to her before me and told her that I was thinking about going after Rob. But even still, I would think that she would come to me and be like, hey, are we making a move on Rob? What's the word?
Because we're working together.
Because we're working together. Not the way she approached me. Now, obviously, she'll have a different perspective on this, but the way she approached me was, you're going after Boston Rob? And I'm like, oh, she is not on board with this.
Right.
This is not something she's in on. So what incentive do I have now to tell her what I'm doing 20 minutes before the roundtable when the only thing I have is the element of surprise? Because best case scenario, she's just not going to vote for Rob. Worst case scenario, she's a traitor too, and now she's going to tell him. But I didn't think it was that big of a deal because I didn't say, no, you have my word, I'm not going after him. I was just like, I mean, everybody's throwing him out. But in my head, I'm thinking, you know what? She'll understand when I give my monologue of what I'm trying to do here, and she's going to go, oh, okay, I got you. This was a sneak attack. I'm with you. So we get to the round table. I give my speech. I think I got him. And they didn't show a lot of it. But in addition to Wes, Brittany speaks up and starts defending Rob and saying he's not a traitor. I don't believe he's a traitor. Yes, she spoke up and started defending him. And I've joked with her about this because I'm like, you were his defense attorney.
I'm going to get her together for that.
Nice. And if that wasn't enough, what you did see was even after her defending Rob and more so going at Wes, when I'm trying to like round up 1 or 2 extra votes before we start writing on the chalkboards, I look at Dylan and I'm like, Dylan, trust me, dude, he's a traitor. And Brittany steps on me and goes, Dylan, don't do it, right in front of me. Oh, so at that moment, I'm thinking, damn, I'm like, fair play. I'm like, good job, Britt. You're a traitor, and you got me this whole time thinking you weren't. I'm thinking it's Danielle and it's you, because then the votes come out. Danielle votes for Rob, and Brittany doesn't. So I'm like, I knew Brittany or Danielle was a traitor. They're too great not to be. I'm like, okay, it doesn't take a genius or a detective to figure out she's the traitor. So
what gave it away?
I mean, her voting against Rob. I mean, well, the shaking. Yeah, the shaking. Yeah. There was D was playing a different game than other people. She was willing to go to some extremes to convince you she wasn't. That's all I'll say about that. But after the round table, I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, my game's over. I took my shot, whatever. And you see it in the episode. I'm sitting there with a bunch of people. I'm over it. It's a game. It's not that serious. I wasn't going to talk to anybody about what transpired at the round table. And you see Brittany come in and she's like, Derrick, can I talk to you? I need to yell at you. And you guys played Big Brother. She did that in front of everyone. So to me, I'm interpreting it, and clearly this wasn't what she was doing. She's not a traitor. But to me, I interpret it as, oh, she's trying to make it look like I did her wrong and I did something wrong and I betrayed her trust in front of other people to create distrust with me. I'm like, I know what you're doing right now.
But that would do that. I mean,
like,
that moment would create that type of situation because everybody's looking for a reason.
And they're thinking,
trust someone.
As I'm getting up, they're like, oh, Derrick did her wrong. Something happened. So she brings me outside the room. And at that point, hold on, my vacuum's going off.
Your Roomba. You got a Roomba?
Yeah, my vacuum's going off. But at that point, I'm like, okay, she's trying to paint a picture right now. So she brings me over to that corner in the front of the house and the castle, and we're talking, and she's guilt tripping me for not telling her, like not divulging my whole game to her, which you can't trust anybody. We're playing traitors. So at that point, I'm thinking, all right, at minimum, she's a bad faithful, but she's possibly a traitor, and she's going to keep defending Rob. So I need to do something about it. I've already put my cards on the table with Rob, so the traitors already know I'm onto him. Yeah. F it, let's go for it. Brittany, you're a traitor too. Because now, at that point, it's like, you know what? You know how I get you guys to stop defending each other? I make you have to defend yourself. So if I'm here tomorrow, now you're going to be defending yourself instead of going and defending Rob. Good luck with that. And it worked out. But unfortunately, the one part that I needed to work out, which was me still being there, that part didn't come to fruition.
You know, I was truly impressed. I'm sorry, Derrick. I was truly impressed with your ability to pivot right on. You was like playing basketball. You was like, oh, no, back. And I was just, because a lot of times, and I say that because a lot of times when we are working with someone and we have an idea and we want them to see it our way, we will in that moment try to convince them to see it our way because we're working together and whatever. And your ability to right then readjust your game, your direction with her and say, it's not worth it. I only got a few minutes. I don't know where this is going to lead. I don't want to give her too much information. I'm just going to diffuse it and go, no, it's not like that. To lower her defenses. That is what I call top tier strategic gameplay.
No, it didn't work out for me.
But here's the thing. But it's something that a real gamer should know to put in their pocket because it could have become even bigger. Like you could have got banished had you might end up on the wrong side where you did get banished instead of getting murdered. Had you tried to pursue that direction with her of convincing her that we should go for Boston Rob, because then she was actually going to come for you because she'd shown you like, I don't trust your direction in where you're pointing your targets. So I think it was still a good move.
I mean, I had to do it. I mean, going after Rob, if anything, I waited too long. I should have went sooner because they were getting out all the independent thinkers, anybody who would push back against anything that they had said. And, I was hoping Brittany and Danielle and a few others were going to vote with me. Sam and Ivor at the episode before were like, hey, Rob, if you're still here tomorrow, we're looking at you.
And then they forgot that they said it.
And so that's my cue where I wanted them to lead the charge, but they just weren't going to do it. And I'm like, guys, can we not see what's going on here? And then there is a part of it where I'm like, you know what? I won the day I got here. And you know what? I'm not afraid to go at the biggest person in the room. So you know what? Here's that moment. Rob, I don't know if you're going to get me or not, but I'm not intimidated by your ability to talk. Yeah. Let's do this. And we talked about it. We were FaceTiming last night. He made the perfect move. He could tell I was prepared for what I was bringing. And so he completely deflected to Wes, which was the best move. Because if he had came back at me, I truly believe, and I think even he would acknowledge this, if he had tried to put it back on me with the relationships that I had built, he would have went home.
Yeah. I think you played the best cards. You played your hand as best as you could. You knew, you knew the targets that would be on you. You knew how to go in and play. I love your observation game. It is similar to what you did in Big Brother. You played a low-key Big Brother game where you watched, you observed, calculated, and then you used Cody to strike. But here you had to pull your own gun, and you knew when to do it. But I think that you did the best that you could do, honestly.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Real quick, just so you know, D, you can ask a question. Peacock saying I got a rap because they got USC.
Okay.
Okay.
But hit me with another. I'm sure they can see this. Rapping now.
Rapping now.
My only thing I had to say is that, of course I love Brittany. We love Brittany over here. I know we all do.
And by the way, I want that to be clear for all the Big Brother people.
Yeah.
Me, D, and Britt, we're good.
Yeah, it's
game's over.
It's a game.
I think because you guys know each other, you talk to each other a little differently. Just like if Tiffany pulled me to the side, I pull her to the side. We're going to talk like how we know each other, okay?
Yep.
So,
agreed.
I don't know if you've been keeping up with everything because I know you got to go. Who do you... who's doing the best in the game, you think, with the players that we have left?
Well, I mean, listen, from a traitor perspective, as you saw in my exit interview, I had no clue Carolyn was a traitor. I had no clue whatsoever.
I'm a huge fan.
So at that point, I'm thinking, Carolyn's got this. And, Carolyn's got the win. As far as Faithful, I think Dylan's going to come back around now that Rob is gone. I think that was really what was blinding him. It kind of created this filter over his lens. And he does have that intuition. So now not having some of his closest allies there, like Rob, him and I were close as well.
Yeah,
I think it's going to allow him to refocus on the game and the facts and the things that are being presented in front of him. And so I would say Faithful, it's either Dylan or Gabby, because Gabby, believe it or not, she's playing a good game too. She knows what she's doing. She's been right with the votes. And I would say on the traitor side, it's Carolyn, but I would just end with this. I know the edit is saying one thing when it comes to Danielle. She's playing a better game than you think. I could tell you from being in there. It wasn't as obvious to everyone that she was a traitor as it's coming off on the show. But overall, I mean, to wrap it up, what a great cast. We had a bunch of legends in there. And now you're seeing people like Tom Sandoval, who I know on the outside people don't love him, but nobody's going to tell me that man is not great TV.
Yeah,
anytime he's great saying me, I'm good. And I hate to do this because you mentioned this, Sierra. Because Sierra just got eliminated, of course, banished.
Yes.
What is your feedback? Because I know you want to talk about her. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I love Sierra. I love Sierra, and she's great, and she's another person I talk outside the game. Some people were mad at me for going after her earlier on, and Wes went after Nikki. They didn't show it in the show, but that was by design, right? The new guys came in the cages. Everyone's looking at the three of us, like you said, D. So when we saw these coffins, that was a gift from God. We're like, okay, let's flip it. So I wasn't there to develop a baseline on Sierra because the traitors had already been selected before I got into the castle. So there's no baseline of what she was doing before she became a traitor or not. So she had swore a lot. You guys seen it on the show. She swears just as much as I do, but I didn't have anything, and I really didn't care. I just wanted to put the attention on what I was referring to as the Coffin Queens, because if they were talking about the Coffin Queens, they weren't talking about the Cage Boys.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why we did it. But Sierra knows the deal. I've talked to her, but some people are like, oh, you didn't have anything to go after her. I know. That's why I had to do it, because I needed them to be talking about her. But honestly, the cast, we'll see how the reunion goes. It's all love on my end. I do know some people are not happy with each other, so get your popcorn ready for the reunion.
We know you got to go. We don't want them to not let us get another one, but we love you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Derrick.
Congratulations. Much success to you. I'll be talking to you, chatting with you. All righty.
Love you guys too. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.